have a RV here. It's running a hot breaker that keeps on tripping. So we'll take a look at it and see if we can figure out what's going on with this breaker, why it's getting hot, why it's tripping. One, there's safety on there. Hot breakers usually means something's going wrong. Second, trip breaker means something's going wrong. So we'll go through the steps here. Again, if you're not comfortable with working with electricity, definitely take it to the RV shop, call an electrician. But we'll go disconnect all the electricity now, unplug the cords. I'm going to disconnect the battery just because the breaker box down there has some low voltage as well. No need to try shorting anything out while we're playing around down there trying to figure things out. All right, let's go unhook some stuff. All right, we're up here at the battery box. Strap on here. All right, let's go get a wrench, unhook this. All right, it's not a wrench. I wound up a socket on mine. It's 9/16 here. Get those tucked out of the way. All right, let's go inside. Okay, we have the power shut off here. So this is a WF-CO breaker system here. Looks like we have some square D breakers in here. It's this double pole here that's getting hot and tripping on the 15. So we'll take a look. I've got all the power shut off, got 12 volts shut off. So let's go ahead and disassemble this. A couple tools, screwdriver. I'm going to use a drill to remove these. Make things quick. All right, that just pops right off there. So what's handy here, I have a voltage tester. Just for those of you like me, I like to just make sure everything is truly off on here. All right, so let's just check our wire connections here. You know, these things are bouncing around on all the time out there. So let's take off this little cover. All right, here's what I'm looking at. These pop the breaker out. Never really played around with one of these. Been into a breaker box here on RV, haven't had a need to. It's supposed to be just standard home breakers, but it's not popping out. It wasn't just popping out easy, so I just gently put some channel locks up here and popped it, and it popped out pretty easy. But be careful, you know, it's all plastic there, so don't apply a lot of pressure or anything. Alright, this is a slotted. All right, I've got to get a smaller slotted screwdriver. Okay, make sure you keep your wires there. This is the 30 amp and there's your 15. And let's take a look at this breaker overall. Not seeing anything that would be causing problems. All right, since there may be something internally here, which I'm not seeing any physical wires. If it was loose wire or something, things would be hot, looking burnt. Not seeing that, so I guess next step is we'll go see if we can find a breaker here. All right, went to the hardware store. They did not have the 3015 breaker. So what I wound up doing is I got a single pull. They did have a single pull 30, and a double 15. So we're gonna swap out two breakers here. Hopefully they'll be better anyways. I don't know why they had a 30-15 combo. From what I understand, sometimes RV, they just, whatever they have kicking around, they'll put in, and that's probably what happened. So let's go ahead and we'll get these wires kind of organized here and pop this one out. Yep, see how that pops out. Right, let's that did not work. Got a little snug pull on them. It looks like they're doing good. Now we'll put the other one up in there. So you can see where I'm at right there. Alright, does seem to nice and snug there. All right, now for the 30. All right, now we'll do the 30 here. Loosen it up so we can get the wire in there. Snug. Just put the back end in first. Breaker box is always fun to play with. There we go. A little tight. Put this little clamp back on that holds everything in place. All right, let's go cut the power back on and test everything out and see how we did. We'll check everything out, make sure everything's running. All right, have the power back on. First did the battery with the 12 volt and then went and plugged it back in and turned the main breaker on. So let's slowly, we'll just do one of these at a time. Nothing's kicking, nothing's kicking. And things beeped and turned back on here, so that's a good sign on everything. Things seem to be working now, so let me turn those back off, and I'll turn the power off outside, and we'll put the cover back on for that, so that everything's off while we're messing around with things. All right, hang on while I go do that, and we'll put the cover back on. Oh, all right, let's tighten that up a little bit. That's why that's coming loose. Go ahead and snug the rest of these up. Thing about an RV, it's always needs worked on, it seems like. So if you don't mind taking on some small tasks, it doesn't make it too bad and helps out on the affordability versus always putting it in the shop. This whole job, you know, we're looking at probably an hour here to do it, and less than $25 for the breaker replacements here. Again, those just square D's from the local hardware store, so should be good to go. We'll go turn the breakers back on and get some cool air in here. So all in all, parts about less than $25 for 2 new breakers. Swapped out a 30-15 for a 30 and one double pull 15 breaker. So we'll see if that works. It probably makes more sense anyways, since there's less pull on that. I think that 30 side was getting hot and was tripping the 15 side, but I'll run this, we'll test it, and if I have any problems, I'll come back and let you know if I need to track anything down further. Thank you for watching, and be sure to hit the like button. Thank you for chucking around.